He can't brew his own potions and all that.
So
It maintains a wealth curve for players, so that you're not going to overpower. If your 5th level character is coming in, everybody knows he's not going to be an overpowered character because of some mechanic that's outside their control.
Right. So it's a game balance issue at that point, and to make sure that it's fair to everybody that's sort of interlinking from all these different sources. So they're going to come in at an even playing field and not feel like there's going to be one character who's part of the term cheesy and has all these great weapons from a Monty Hall campaign, and they're sitting there with their +1 short sword going, what the heck?
Exactly. When you play a scenario, the wealth that's gained from that scenario, the items that are gained from that scenario are the same for everybody who played that scenario. So you don't have to worry about, there was +1 sword in that? Only the fighter picked it up. He grabbed it first, so nobody else gets access. No, everybody who played that scenario gets access to that material.
All right, so when they're porting their character over after they've killed whatever monster at the end and they find a certain treasure, they get the right to basically put on their carryover sheet to another campaign that they have found that treasure. And
they found it, and then based on their how much money they've accumulated, they can purchase that item anytime later on in their career because they had access to it.
They have access to it. That's a brilliant way of doing it. That's really, really cool. So it sort of builds sort of your own private store that you can draw off of after you've been adventuring a whole lot, but still doesn't make you weighed down with a whole bunch of gear that you've gotten all the way through, and make it so you can just sell all your extraneous gear, make a bunch of money, and do whatever you want.
Of course, there's a sneaky thing into it too. You don't want everybody to be vanilla. Not everybody has the same thing. We have what's called factions. Okay. So those are like, they started out with 5 factions, now we're up to 10 factions. These are subgroups of our Pathfinder society that are out there. They have different agendas. That while they're not out to destroy the Pathfinder society, they say, we talk about the Shadow Lodge. Shadow Lodge is the union of the Pathfinder society. They're out for the individual Pathfinder to not get messed over by the big boss up top, as opposed to the Grand Lodge. Grand Lodge is for management. They're looking out after the overall arching interest of the society itself. So they have 2 different goals when they go on a mission. So they try to achieve those goals. Sometimes those goals are secret from each other. Sometimes they're very public to each other. It's kind of interesting.
Do you actually have a lot of situations where you have confrontational situations between sets of player characters instead of having monsters?
Actually, one of the things we really try to emphasize is how much people work with each other, and player versus player is explicitly banned in our society. It's something that no GM will tolerate. It's something that the society itself will not tolerate. If you're somebody who's just out for yourself, you can work for yourself only, but if you go out there and explicitly hamper somebody else's mission or harm another, we really don't want you in our games.
Yeah, well, that's really cool because your games are about heroes and you want people to act like heroes.
Very much so.
And I appreciate that a lot because that's personally my style of play, is that I want to play a hero. I want to play somebody that cooperates with other people. And one of the great things about playing a role-playing game with 4 to 5 other people is that the teamwork aspect is one of the things that you want to build up. And one of the things that I really like about 3.5 is that it gives you a lot of those roles that allow you to sort of teamwork with other people, but it isn't so combo heavy based like you would have with like 4th edition D&D, that if you don't have a specifically tailored combo party, you're not really going to be able to
exactly.
Well.
And remember back in the 1st edition, where you had to have one cleric, you had to have one rogue, you had to have one cleric, one wizard, and you had to have that in the party. Well, that's what I've played in games in Pathfinder Society where we had 4 fighters go into this dungeon and no healer in the party, and we survived. Oh my gosh, so you don't have to have that magic combination anymore.
Right.
So it's kind of nice. It's all about the role playing and the game that gets along. I love also that our campaign, we do not allow evil characters. That the alignment's just not tolerated. They don't allow evil races, so the monster races aren't a part of the player classes.
Right.
Yes, you're going to interact with them out there, but you don't have a troll walking into the party. This is a human-centric world.
Okay, and your ability to be able to control those kind of things really manages what a lot of problems that people have with sort of organized or quote unquote tournament play. What I really don't like calling it tournament play, but whatever. That you sort of have a unified sort of theme of the type of stories that you want to tell and the type of adventures that you want to have, and it sort of makes everything a little bit more uniform, and people know what to expect when they're going into a situation where you have random people that you don't know playing with you.
And that scares a lot of people. Yes.
And I think that it's a huge turnoff for a lot of people to go into an organization like RPGA, for example, and be able to attend those type of scenarios, because they never are going to know whether somebody is just there to try to sabotage other people or try to advance their own agenda. There are a lot of people out there that are very egotistical and just want to just break things. That's all they want to do.
Well, one of the things I very much admire, Eric Mona, one of the heads of Paizo, he comes from the culture, and he saw some of the destructive attitudes of some prior campaigns and such like that, and he basically set down the law. He wasn't going to allow that in this campaign. So I very much respect his decision on that. But foundations like that help build where we're at.
But I also like the idea that there's absolutely no reason you have to be in Pathfinder Society in order to play Pathfinder. So if you actually did want to play your evil characters or be bad guys or do something that doesn't go with that canon of what they want to do with their game, you could sit down and find a bunch of people and actually just play the game that you want to play.
And every once in a while they put out some special scenarios. They had Free RPG Day last year. They put out a special scenario. It was just a one-time shot called We Be Goblins. They let people be a party of goblins going out on a raid. It was funny as heck. It was comedy.
Yeah. I remember way back in the early days of this convention where AAG was actually promoting their Legends of the Five Rings role-playing game that had just come out. And they only had room for a certain amount of samurai, but of course it was very popular at the time, so they had like 50 people sign up to play with it. So what they did was they took 10 people that were the samurai, and everybody else was a bunch of goblins. And you had literally 40 people standing outside by the pool, jumping up and down, chanting, "Crab for dinner! Crab for dinner!" And I love those little kind of events where you just sort of get to be a little bit wacky and get to do something a little bit different. And that's cool that you guys actually play up to that, at least at some point, without being taking yourselves too seriously at what you do. If anybody's interested in being part of Pathfinder Society, where would they go? What would they do?
The website is www.paizo.com, Paizo.com. They can click on the Pathfinder Society link. It's on the upper left-hand side of the screen.
There'll be a link on the website.
There's a link on the website, and that will bring them to the Pathfinder Society links, and they can look up local coordinators. And there's email addresses for local coordinators throughout the world. We just expanded to South Africa and several places in Europe that we've expanded out to. We've been, all the way through Australia. We're growing. Obviously, we're a lot more local coordinators, volunteer coordinators are in the United States. We're adding more cities all the time. We recruit. We're constantly expanding.
Do you guys have prior experience requirements for people that want to be a coordinator or want to run games, or do you want people that are basically more experienced with the game to be in those positions, or can anybody go, "Hey, I know some people that want to play. We want to be part of the Pathfinder Society. I want to run games and I want to coordinate for my area"?
Anybody who has a desire can GM. You can organize your own game. You don't have to wait for us to do it. We encourage you to do that. If you want help, you can contact us and we'll do what we can to help you. The idea of any of the coordinators is to facilitate their local area and region. So you don't have to ask permission to run Pathfinder Society. We'd like you to report it so we know, so we can say, hey, it's happening here, and we can send in some additional support to you. But
how do you report those things? Are there online tools for you to report things and update your characters, so there's a database of what characters are doing, like they do with RPGA, or is it simply done with paperwork through your coordinator?
Actually, that's a really great question. As far as documenting characters, the primary method of documenting characters are the chronicle sheets that you're awarded at the end of every scenario, and that is your library, your book, your Bible, your birth certificate of your character. As long as you have that, that's what makes you legal to go anywhere. We also maintain an electronic database that we encourage coordinators to report those events and those awards and such like that up the Paizo website. That's all part of that Pathfinder Society website.
Right, website, yeah.
And anybody can register a game and then report a game. We go on very much an honor system like that.
Right, and basically what you really don't, if you shun human interaction, you can actually just go in there, run your game, report your stuff, and everybody's kosher. And if your players, and the players that are in your game want to transport their character at, let's say, one of the great events here at Strategicon, they can go ahead and do so and seamlessly enter into another game with somebody else.
Very much so.
Wow, that's just a great way of gaming, and I'm really excited for you guys, and I'm very glad that you're growing. And obviously, it's an idea whose time has come, and people are excited about it. Well, thanks, Robin, for speaking to us. Pliston, awesome. Thank you for your time, and everybody look for those links for Paizo and Pathfinder Society on Pliston and Awesome website, and go ahead and get involved and play some games.